Given our focus on the 2026 start date for pre-trib, or actually not pre-trib, but tribulation, and the preference of the 33 AD anchor, we are indeed in a critical watchman window. Now, based on geopolitical landscape as of January 2026, here is an analysis of the players and the specific triggers that align with a potential launch of a 7-year timeline, 2026 through 2033. The 2026 trigger. For the 70th week of Daniel to begin in 2026, we are looking for the confirmation of a pre-existing or new security framework. Now, take the Board of Peace. This is the most significant development on the ground right now. Launched formally at the World Economic Forum in Davos about 5 days ago, January 22nd, this U.S. brokered Board of Peace is a centralized coalition of willing states designed to oversee the reconstruction and security of Gaza. The 20-point framework, this plan, backed by the UN Security Council Resolution 2803, serves as a transitional administration. If this framework is expanded into a 7-year binding regional security treaty within the 2026, it would mirror the confirming of a covenant described in Daniel 9:27. So, the Saudi stalling. Interestingly, as of late 2026, January 2026, Saudi Arabia has cooled on public normalization, demanding a formal U.S. defense treaty and a path to statehood first. This delay creates the perfect vacuum for a mediator to step in and provide the guarantees that the U.S. or regional players currently cannot. So, key geopolitical players, the chairman or the mediator. While President Trump currently chairs the Board of Peace, watch for a shift. If the U.S. pivots away, or if the board transitions into a more international or European leadership to gain global legitimacy, that figure becomes the primary person to watch. How about the 10 Kings? Regional blocs. The rise of the Abrahamic Prosperity Zone is no longer a theory. It is a functional economic bloc. Simultaneously, BRICS and the EU are hardening into centralized power centers. Prophecy suggests the beast rises from a 10-nation confederacy. These emerging regional superstates are the modern infrastructure for that system. Now, the joint mechanism, Syria, Israel. In early 2026, a new intelligence sharing pact was forged between Israel and the post-Assad government in Damascus. This unexpected alignment between former enemies is exactly the kind of false peace preached in 1 Thessalonians 5:3 that precedes sudden shifts. Now the religious component and the altar. So, red heifer status. Here's a 2026 update. Reports from late 2025 and early 2026 indicate that the original heifers, only a few remain on track and unblemished. There's an intense speculation among temple activists about the ceremony occurring before or during the Passover Pentecost window of 2026. Which of course is Wednesday, April 1st, 2026 through April 9th, 2026. The sacrifice trigger. Under the law given to Moses, the ashes of the red heifer are required for the purification of priesthood. Excuse me. If the ashes are produced in 2026, the legal barrier to resuming sacrifices, even on a portable altar, is removed. The status quo, negotiable. A key part of 2026 peace discussions involves religious freedom on the Temple Mount. If the Board of Peace grants Israel a specific designated space for prayer or sacrifice as part of the 7-year deal, the countdown to midpoint abomination of desolation begins. So the mark and the 2030 pivot. If 2026 is the start, then 2030 is the midpoint, and statistically the world is hitting a singularity in 2030. The central bank digital currency maturity, the IMF and World Bank have set 2030 as the target for full digital financial inclusion. Digital IDs. The UN Sustainable Development Goal 16.9, legal identity for all, is slated for completion in 2030. And the Great Reset, the infrastructure to lock the global economy so that no one can buy or sell without a digital mark connected to their ID and wallet, will be technically perfect by exactly the time the Antichrist would theoretically take power at the midpoint 2030. So what I'm about to say should shake you to your very core. If the 33 AD timeline is correct, the restrainer is still holding back the full tide of lawlessness, but the dam is cracking. The labor pains of 2024 and 2025, the Israeli-Irani war, the Gaza catastrophe, the global inflation, were all the final warnings. Logically, if we aren't in tribulation yet, we are in the dressing room getting ready to walk out on stage. So now that we know the potential catalyst for tribulation, the global political hodgepodge that's going on right now, let's look at biblical seals and how the current global economic instability might be that literal black horse getting ready to gallop in 2026. So now it's fascinating and a little scary that the black horse of the third seal is manifesting in real time as we sit here in the beginning of 2026. If we look at the 33 AD timeline, where 26 is the potential start of the 70-week, the black horse acts as the bridge that destroys the old world order to make way for the beast system. And these are things that we've heard all throughout last year, New World Order, just everywhere. So let's get into it. So in Revelation 6, the black horse represents a scarcity where basic food becomes incredibly expensive, while the oil and the wine, the luxury of the elite, are untouched. So here's a 2026 statistical outlook. So hyperinflation and gold. As of right now, beginning of 2026, gold has shattered all records, trading well above $4,000 an ounce. Financial giants like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley are projecting gold to hit $5,000 per ounce by the end of this year. Now, the stagflation light trap. So, this is what this is. Analysts are currently warning of a stagflation scenario. So, this is where growth slows, but prices continue to rise. Or they remain stubbornly high. So, the black horse logic of this isn't just about normal recession. It's an intentional debasement of currency. When the dollar and other currencies lose their purchasing power, it creates a desperate environment needed for a global reset. So let's look at the beast system being hidden in the shadows. We are seeing it emerge through the de-dollarization movement led by BRICS, which just expanded again in late 2025, which is to include Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Indonesia. So, the BRICS pay system, they are currently rolling out a blockchain-based payment system to bypass the Western SWIFT system. And what that is Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications, SWIFT. It's a secure global messaging network used by over 11,000 financial institutions in over 200 countries. So, the 2026 trigger, India is hosting a BRICS summit in 2026. This is being eyed as the moment they might formalize a new unit of account backed by gold or commodities. So, what's the prophetic link? If the black horse gallops in 2026 through a massive currency crash, the world will cry out for a unified digital solution to stabilize the economy. And again, central banks are already trying to roll out the digital currency by 2030. Statistically, the tech is finishing its final testing phase right now. But we are not in that take the mark part just yet. But full implementation, major institutions have a roadmap to 2030. And we are currently in phase 1, which is assessment and pilot implementation of blockchain integrated global finance. By the time we hit the midpoint of our 2026-2033 timeline, which would be about 2029-2030, the infrastructure for the mark, biometric ID linked to your ability to buy or sell, will be the only functional way to participate in the new economy. So, if 2026 is the year of the covenant is signed, it will likely be presented as a solution to this economic chaos. The world leader won't appear as a villain initially. He will appear as a mathematical genius who saves the global economy from the black horse's inflation. As we look at the transition from late 2025 into 2026, the red horse appears to be shifting from localized labor pains into a global systematic repositioning that aligns with the week of millennials math. If 2026 is the start of the 7-year countdown to 2033, The current state of the world suggests that we are witnessing the exact alignment of enemies described in the prophecies of Ezekiel 38 and Revelation 6. As we move into late January 2026, the geopolitical map is shifting from escalation to a state of permanent crisis management. In the context of the 33 AD anchor, the global stage is effectively locking in the conditions required for the 2026 through 2033 timeline. The Israeli-Iran shadow. Following a 12-day direct war in June 25, a tactical détente is currently in place as of January 2026. However, military analysts warn that this is merely a tactical pause. Iran continues to fund proxies with billions, and Israel's strategic mindset that has shifted from deterrence to preemptive. The Board of Peace. In January 2026, the Gaza Phase Peace Plan reached Phase 2. An International Stabilization Force, ISF, is being prepared to take over Gaza. This is the covenant framework to watch. If this 20-point plan is confirmed into a binding 7-year regional security architecture later this year, then again, it fits the Daniel 927 model perfectly. How about the Sunni shift? Sunni nations such as Egypt, Saudi Arabia, the UAE are increasingly aligning with the Board of Peace to counter Iran. This creates a clear King of the South bloc, Daniel 11, positioning against northern threats. The Russian-Ukraine war has entered its most catastrophic phase in terms of human cost, setting the stage for the hooks in the jaws of Ezekiel 38. The carnage stats as of January 2026 combined casualties killed and wounded have reached approximately 1.8 million and are projected to hit 2 million by spring. Estimated 1.2 million casualties in Russia, which is the worst losses for a major power since World War II. The Ukraine estimates 500 to 600,000 casualties. The Iran-Russia-Turkey alliance, with Russia's economy under extreme strain and its military exhausted, its reliance on Iran, or Persia, officially Persia, and Turkey has become an existential necessity. As Russia is pulled away from the West, the Ezekiel 38 coalition is becoming a functional military reality, not just a diplomatic. So, peace talks are currently being mediated in Abu Dhabi. This freeze could allow Russia to pivot its focus toward the Middle East, where Israel's newfound security via the Board of Peace may eventually become the spoil that Gog seeks. The Red Horse is no longer just about swords. It's about autonomous efficiency. Record defense spending. Global defense spending is projected to hit 2.75 trillion in 2026. The Pentagon's 2026 request alone is for nearly $1 trillion. That's 961 billion base and 150 billion in reconciliation. AI and RF warfare. The standard of war now in 2026 is electronic warfare and AI-driven radio frequency platforms. Warfare has become clinical, Whoever controls the spectrum controls the mission. This matches the seal judgment where death is delivered with mechanical precision. Revelations 6:4. Israeli media and global analysts are warning of an extreme scenario where these regional wars, Ukraine, Middle East, Taiwan, merge into a single global theater. If the 2,000-year Sabbath begins in 2033, then 2026 is the year the red horse and the black horse must complete their work of destabilizing the world. This chaos is what forces the world to accept the New World Order and the Man of Peace, who can finally stop the bloodshed. We are watching the restrainer step back, and the gears of the 70th week are clicking into place right before our eyes.